Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services in Eastland, Texas. Tune in every week as we share important information to help you and your family live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, legacy and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
Happy Friday, everybody. This is Sam Barker here with Aaron Kennedy on Black and White Market Minute on Life Planning 101.
Finally here, Friday.
Yeah,
Thank goodness.
Here. Great Depression, according to Trump, So don't know if y'all saw that, but Trump going off the rails, screaming that if his ideas on the tariffs don't work out, it's going to be Great Depression. Aaron, do you have any thoughts on? I know it's been a crazy week. We've had a bunch of good performance and some different positions with some bad performance. And where do we start?
Be cynical right at the front. Of course, we're going to go into depression. Only other countries can put tariffs on us. If we decide to do the same, then it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
That part's kind of silly.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm being naive, but I'm still in the belief that we're pushing for fair trade, and the deals that we've had in the past have definitely not been fair at all. Now going to a Great Depression, that may be a little bit of a temper tantrum.
Yeah, I love those Trump tantrums.
But oh my gosh, I don't see the harm in saying, "Hey guys, let's all treat each other fairly." I sure don't see a lawsuit coming over it, and seems like a pretty good deal, or kind of silly.
Yeah. Well, and then we've had a couple of. What about our strategies we were talking about before we got started? What does that look like?
Oh, man, we've had a great week. I told Sam to make fun of me. I was in a sour mood last week. I was in a really sour mood. This week's been beautiful. We run a couple of strategies here on the stock side, and one we've done extremely well, almost double what the market, and it was a great week. And the other one was right at it, just a little bit below. So market is behaving appropriately.
No wonder you're in such a good mood this week.
Yeah, I'm still not in a good mood. And I say it's performing appropriately because it's going up, but I haven't seen this kind of market in a long time. There is some really fantastic companies that are really, really cheap. It's almost to the point that we're at some no-brainer prices. As like, how do these things even happen? And maybe one of the ones that the easiest to think about is Novo. Diabetes. Do a full 360 and tell me if you don't see somebody that's overweight if you're outside in public. Nobody get in trouble with their spouse. But you know what I mean? We need help there. And the weight loss drugs, that company's trading at, maybe just a little bit north of 10 on PE. So with an 8 to 14% growth rate, you don't get that. That's a present. It doesn't feel like a present if you hold it, but it's yielding 3.5, 3.6, somewhere around in there. That's beautiful. I've been digging through everything that we have right now, and you go to the ones that are underpriced, then you start digging into the financials, and you're like, well, I'd be an idiot to sell this. This wonderful, wonderful companies just at great prices. And if you kind of look, I've been seeing a lot of people compare what's going on right now to the late 90s. And I can see that. Palantir up another 13.5%, 14% this week. I was telling Sam, I think I sold a put on Palantir at $7
so
a couple years ago, and just hit 181. Oh my gosh. It's just silly how fast that's grown. And my whole point is there's companies out there that are incredibly expensive. NVIDIA, Palantir, lots of companies, especially if you're in this AI domain, great companies doing what they're supposed to do and going to change our world, but probably a little bit over its skis. So seeing some of these other fantastic companies that are growing at double digits that are, golly, Walmart prices, Dollar General prices, give it to me. Some bubbles break, bubbles pop. So give me safe prices. Give me great companies at safe prices.
Yeah, well, and a lot of, you said some stuff's expensive out there today, and we're talking about Palantir getting over its skis. whenever you're talking about expensive, valuation's not what it used to be.
No.
You used to have the price to book as the value metric,
Yeah.
but now book values today are more pixie dust.
Right, that's exactly
everything's
And
intangible.
Guys, we talk about this all the time. Value investing is dead. Well, not everything is a factory now. We don't produce a lot of things. So yeah, there's not a lot of assets backing companies. So price to book, price to the cost of my factory, is out of this world. Computer code there's no carry value, so everything looks expensive. So I wouldn't say value investing is dead. It's just the world's different. I have a computer code instead of some company shooting out black soot out of the top. It's just different.
Well, and I know one of the replacement costs is one way that current value investors value things. So you look at the balance sheet, what can you replace their balance sheet? What would it cost to replace the current balance sheet? And they make adjustments. Well, how do you value ChatGPT whenever it hits the balance sheet? There is no amount of money you can spend to replace that whenever it hits the balance sheet. So
no. That goes back, I was reading this article on Novo the other day, and the guy's argument was Wegovy, the entire weight loss industry, that's what they call every single drug. It's like Google. I don't know, go Google it. Once the name of your company or the name of your product is the universal verbiage, you're usually pretty good. Mm-hmm. You've made it.
Yeah. Do you use Kleenexes or tissues?
That's
Kleenex
exactly
is a brand.
Right. Yeah. So, to your point, what does it cost to replace that? The moat is so strong and so valuable, but you can't. It's hard to value. How do you go out there and replace it? How do you? What's the cost of replacing everybody's mindset across the country, across the world? I think it's great. This is exactly not anything we were going to discuss.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of a segue. We're having trouble valuing some of these things, or at least I say having trouble. It's hard to get the historical norms of valuation on companies nowadays.
Yeah.
Well, we can segue that into the valuations of private equity. Or not just private equity, but alts and Bitcoin. So there was some news that came out that you were telling me about. They just signed in. Is it today?
Yeah, I think it's going across his desk. I read that we're going to be allowed to have Bitcoin in 401ks now. And that's huge. Not everybody has a IRA or brokerage account. There's a lot larger part of the population that has a 401k or a retirement plan. And you can now, you're going to have access to Bitcoin in it. That's huge. I mean, that is really, really big. And I would love to see it in our country, education start picking up on what Bitcoin is. How's it designed? What is it designed to do? How is it designed to protect us and be my money, And hopefully, if more people are going to own it or have the ability to own it, that education's going to pick up. And maybe we start seeing Saturday morning cartoons with commercials on what Bitcoin is. But big picture, if people are buying it every single month on their 401k, that's going to be great for price. And, if you go look at past performance, which does not indicate anything, we've gone from, 16,000 to 116,000 in just, has it been 12 months? Maybe 16 months.
Yeah, closer to 16.
So it's been the number one performing asset of all time.
Well, and it's an expansion of 401ks into an alternative asset.
Yes.
Which is something else that's starting to hit the headlines.
Yeah, that's supposed to happen as well. Not only can you do Bitcoin, but you can do private assets. So, I think we've discussed on here private equity and private debt. And this is buying companies or loaning to companies that aren't on the stock exchange. The one that a lot of people have heard of is SpaceX. That is a part of the market that typically makes more than the public markets, the things on the S&P 500.
That'd be like comparable to a teenager. You know, a
Yeah.
teenager's going to grow faster than a 40-year-old.
Yes, that's exactly right. So that part's exciting. Now, exciting, I don't know whether it's going to be good or bad. You start dumping a lot of money into a specific asset class, it typically starts gaining in value very quickly. So what exactly is that going to do? Do we get into a bubble situation? And I don't think that's the case, because that entire market's been pretty much down over the last, let's say 4 years, 2 to 3 years. But I think one of the positive things is we're going to have different funds, let's just call them funds, that are going to be trading a lot more. A lot more money's going to be going in. So this asset class that usually you need to hold on to for 10 years with zero liquidity, all of a sudden these assets are moving between firms a lot more. So it's probably going to help with pricing, going to help with liquidity. I see a lot of positives. I'm fearful of the bubble, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's going to go out there and start chasing the same companies.
Yeah. Well, that black box of illiquidity gets a little bit of color.
Yes.
It's just, what is that color?
And, it's still, this is one of the things we're going to talk about, the pros and cons of accreditation. In the past, in order to invest in these things, you had to have $1 million of investable dollars. And they wanted you to be a little bit more sophisticated investor, because you are buying real companies that you cannot get out of, and you need to be able to hold on to it for 10 years. So you need to have it in your mind that this is liquid. I cannot sell this at all, and that part is good. I like that part. But to say somebody is sophisticated or not because of their asset size, that frustrates me a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of smart people out there that understand these things that maybe only have $900,000. It's silly to put a dollar amount on it. But I think there's some ways around it in the 401k market, especially if you could put minimums on it and some of those things, and you're very, very open on how long the liquidity portion on it. That probably means more work for attorneys and more paperwork, but overall, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, and it's almost like the democratization of alts. I know that they're coming out with a test you can take now if you're not, quote unquote, sophisticated enough to display
Yes.
that you are sophisticated enough and things like that. So they're trying to spread out this black box to more people so that they can take a little bit more advantage. Robinhood, for instance, I know is coming out. I don't quite understand it yet, but tokenization. You hear it a lot on CNBC right now, where they're allowing some kind of a tokenization where retail or less sophisticated investors can get exposure to some of these private companies through what they're calling tokenization. Now, if you ask me to explain what that is, it would be like me explaining blockchain 15 years ago, but I don't quite get it.
Yeah. I'm not up to date on that portion. That is definitely a black box.
Well, and it's
something representative of something else, and being able to invest in it. Some of that stuff kind of scares me, but it's probably more on my education than being a scary thing.
Yeah. Well, and it's whenever you hear some people talk about the rich only get richer and the poor only get poorer, there's two sides to that argument. You have typically with more assets, you become more sophisticated, not just because of your assets, because your experience with those assets.
Yes.
So there's an argument to be made for it. You don't want somebody coming out of college with debt and $40,000 to go and put it all on red.
Right.
But it's just one of those double-edged swords.
You don't want to do it. But I think with the education, that is one of the huge benefits to being wealthy, is to have access to this. Because, actually the returns, if you're on the equity side, are historically almost double, if not more, than what the public market is. And it's not accessible to the average John Doe. So having that access, it kind of levels the playing field. I'm really excited about it. I'm interested to see how they're going to implement it, and hopefully they just don't let go of the wolves. But I think it's going to be great for the real American worker that is saving for his retirement, and it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, and it might involve more, I don't want to say active, but more advice in some of those 401ks than has historically been there, more education than just a target date fund that your fund administrator selected.
Yes, yeah. I think that's exactly right.
Yeah, so
you need to know what you're doing. You need to be able to have some kind of help to walk through some of this.
Yeah,
because I think most people, they're handed a piece of paper and it shows past returns.
Yep.
Choose.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Past 10 years, here are the expense ratios, and good luck.
Yes.
Speaking of wolves, like you just mentioned, what's going on in some of the wars overseas? I know you mentioned.
I heard there's a deal on the table for Russia and Ukraine to end their war. A lot of news hit today. Oil tanked, and that's what I read that. So I run straight over to, check prices, and oil was down 0.61%.
Yeah.
Oh, the media is
right
just
now.
wonderful. Yeah. I thought I was going to get to fill up with like $2 gas or something, but no.
Not yet.
Gas prices they're probably going to go up on that news.
Yeah.
But of course, I don't know anything on this. One of the things is saying that they have to give back the land that Russia's taken. So I don't know. It's kind of, who knows? Yeah. Who knows? Anytime we can end a war, that I think that is a good thing. I don't know how much you want to concede, or there's both sides to both stories, to either side of the story.
Well, this war has been so expensive in not just financial terms, but just in several different metrics, from humans to finance to opportunity cost of what could have been.
Yes.
You have to weigh the pros and cons of, if I cede this land and end the war today, does that mean that we can start rebuilding tomorrow? And if we decide not to, we don't start rebuilding, and maybe I don't know what the cost benefit analysis there on either side, but
yeah, it seems extremely cheap comparing it to on keeping the war going and then it escalating outside of the country of Ukraine. That sounds horrible. Annexing back something. I have no idea on this part, but something that was taken back in, was it 2014? So reversing that may not be the end of the world. It sure will feel like it to Ukraine, and that part's not good. But I think it would be a positive for the entire world if this could end one way or the other. And I hope both sides get what they want or what they need.
Or what they don't
for
want.
their people.
Yeah, I mean, if both sides are mad, then that probably means it was a good deal for the rest of the world.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the best case scenarios, if it ends and they're both upset.
Yeah. So, and then I know that, speaking of the wars, I think regardless of anyone's stance on it, I think Israel's probably going to proceed and try to take over the rest of the Gaza Strip and see if they can't put an end to that thing too. So.
Yes. I haven't spent a lot of time on that, but I did read that they're planning on, was it permanent occupation of the Gaza Strip?
Well, I don't think it's permanent. I think what I was reading was, and who knows what the media puts out versus what the true intentions are, but they're going to go ahead and occupy 100% of the Strip and then try to cede control to one of the Arab nations, and which is, if they do that and they're working on an extension of the Abraham Accords, I don't think it's necessarily a bad deal eventually, especially with Hamas is designated as a terror organization, so I don't think they can stay in power, so they've got to find somebody else to step in, and I don't think Israel should be or wants to be in control of that strip of land with that population.
Yeah. Pray for all the people over there.
Yeah.
Not a good situation. Definitely not safe. But it's funny that you said that. There's so many news articles. I will read like the first couple of paragraphs and then skim over, because I know It's going to be biased one way or the other. Nothing's really going to be true.
Yeah. So, speaking of, if we can get rid of all this turmoil in the world, get free trade back, or at least closer to free trade, and then we were talking about prices, commodity prices. I know that we're going back and forth on commodity prices. What's going on with gold right now? Henry was pointing out to me, he was watching the charts yesterday after hours, and it spiked right after the market closed. So,
who knows? I think we both came in with two different stories.
Yeah.
There was rumor that Trump was going to tariff Swiss gold. Then I'd read something that none of that was true. That was just made up by the media. Haven't dug in enough to know which side is right, but that's kind of strange.
Yeah.
We're to the point now, we have jumped so much in gold, and it is being traded so much between sovereign nations that it is a currency. And in my mind, how can you tariff another currency? I know it's not exactly, but I don't see it. And I may be wrong as soon as I get back to my desk, but I would take that as a rumor or
Well, and that's
not true.
That's fresh enough that it always seems like the first one to make the proclamation about groundbreaking news isn't always 100% accurate, and then the last one is usually not 100% accurate because there's been so much information that's been already put out. So somewhere in the middle, once again, you never know.
Let me not stick my mouth on that. But that sounds really silly.
Yeah. Well, we've gone over quite a bit in this fairly short time frame. Is there anything we didn't touch on that you wanted to?
No, I think that's it. Speaking of the gold, I think gold's going to continue to be strong. Our treasuries have been trying to sell treasuries just as hard as they can, and they haven't been doing a good job of it. A lot of countries are balking at buying our debt, so we've had some pricing problems in the auctions. So that is definitely good for gold.
Do you have a likelihood on an interest rate cut next week or next month? I think it was over 50% last I saw. I know it was hovering
the
around
odds are up there that it's time to cut, but there's a huge difference in what should be done and what's going to happen because of how politicized everything is.
I want your crystal ball.
I try not to even worry about it. I just guess that nothing changes.
Yeah.
But worst case scenario is nothing changes. If it does drop, then boy, this market's going to get really fun really fast.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be keeping an eye on it. If y'all have any questions, concerns, if y'all see anything interesting out in the world, give us a call. We love to hear from everybody and like to see some different ideas out there. So y'all have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again next week. That's going to be another episode of Black and White Market Minute on Life Planning 101.
God bless everyone.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services. If you have questions, you can email them to lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. Be sure to tune in next week for more Life Planning 101. The opinions expressed herein are those of the firm and are subject to change without notice. The opinions referenced are as of the date of publication and are subject to change due to changes in the market or economic conditions and may not necessarily come to pass. Any opinions, projections, or forward-looking statements expressed herein are solely those of the author, may differ from the views or opinions expressed by other areas of the firm, and are only for general informational purposes as of the date indicated. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Smart Money Group LLC. Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by Calton & Associates Incorporated.